Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XDC. But before I get started, please click the like and subscribe button as it helps this channel grow very quickly. So, I want to ask you all a question. How do you feel about trade? How big do you think the trade industry is? Because a lot of people on crypto Twitter feel that XDC is some sort of scam coin with no real value. I can see the value in it, and I'm going to show it to you now. So let's go. Now, this is a helicopter view of the fintech landscape. We see corporate, then we see trade originators and investors. And we see Liquidix, TradeTech, Finion, and in the middle of it all is XDC. XDC is going to be tied to all trade. And in my opinion, trade is huge in this country, in the world. So XDC appears to be an insurance-only token. In the future, we believe that all insurance will be managed on the XDC ledger. Perhaps it's a huge market. Listen, if that's just one thing that XDC does, so be it. But XDC has a ton of use case, a ton of utility, and a ton of value. So XDC, it will take over trade finance. 1 trillion market cap equals $70 per XDC. Global trade hits record high of $28.5 trillion in 2021. Think about that. That's how big XDC is. It's tied to the entire trade industry. Then we see this. XDC just so happens to help tokenize the global trade finance industry, which is a $19 trillion market. So when somebody dismisses XDC as having no value because all it deals with is trade, it's trillions of dollars. It's a lot of money flowing through XDC, and that's just one use case. Then we see this. TradeTech taps XDC network to launch trade finance tokens. FinTech. Then we see this. I may be wrong, but won't Trada trade as individual minted fungible security tokens on the XDC network, which will be value based on assets backing the token? So each Trada NFT will have its own value. Here's the thing. Whenever I talk about ISO coins, I found a similarity to all of them. I'm talking about every single one. First, they're all tied together somehow, some way. XDC is tied to XLM, tied to XRP, tied to IOTA, tied to Algorand, tied to HBAR, tied to Casper. And there's a few others that are also ISO 222 compliant as well that aren't listed yet. And the other thing about them is this. They're well-rounded. Every single one of them is a well-rounded cryptocurrency. I'm talking about being well-rounded in utility and use case. They're tied to NFTs. They're tied to Metaverse. They're tied to Web3. And they're tied to the new financial system, and they're all tied to each other. That's what makes me so confident in investing in ISO 222 tokens. Then we see this. MetaBlocks is a virtual world that democratizes the way we network, collaborate, learn, and play. Ran on XDC and collaborating with Metaverse to create, own, and monetize experiences in meta-cities that are based on real cities. That's how XDC is tied to Metaverse. Then we see this. Host your event in awesome meta buildings like this. And we could see how big the Metaverse is going to be. It's going to continue to grow as time goes on. Just like Web3, it's going to continue to grow. So the value of our cryptocurrencies that are tied to those are also going to grow. They're going to continue moving up in value over time. A lot of people are waiting for some sort of flip of the switch event to happen, and then they're rich. But the thing is, I don't think that's just the stopping point. Because when we look at these cryptocurrencies that are ISO 222 compliant, we only look at their use case as far as the new financial system. Like we know XDC is trade in the new financial system. But then we also got to look at its ties to Metaverse, Web3, so on and so forth. Because that also adds value and will continue to add value to that cryptocurrency. So then we see this, and this is a breakdown of all of it. Now we see Swift in there, and we see IBM. That was enough for me to invest in XDC by itself, because I know how it's tied to the new system then. But it's also tied to Cisco, Google, Intel, Microsoft, R3. But then it's tied to everything else. And we see right here, this is all the other cryptos, all tied in with what? XDC. And that's how I know where the value of these assets are going to be in the future. And I don't think we're far off. I think everything got sped up with Russia launching their own CBDC. I think when the US said they have until 2025, I think now they're going to try to get it done a lot sooner. So how RBI and Indian banks are piloting blockchain trade financing. We see it all coming together. We see the whole new system coming together. And yet people still on crypto Twitter always want to try to fudge you somehow, some way. Oh, well, XDC is a scam coin because of this. Or it's not moving because of this. People right now are worried. The market is down. We're still inside crypto winter in the bear market. So people right away all of a sudden think everything is a scam because they're not getting rich overnight. Listen, if you want to get rich, it takes one thing. You buy an asset like XDC and you sit back and you be patient. And it will pay off. Then we see this. Hey, just curious, Mr. Profit, why leave out XDC as an ISO 222 interoperable ecosystem, as Impel official provides the processes to be ISO interoperable and adds value to the R3 Corda bridge? A lot of people are even saying that XDC is no longer part of the ISO 222. I don't know where they come up with these ideas. On this channel, I always show you every crypto's ties to other cryptos, ties to IBM, ties to the new financial system, ties to the metaverse, and so on and so forth. But some people out there, they just can't go through the day without saying some sort of FUD to try to get you to sell what you hold. But you can't buy into that. So PolySign could prefer a custody solution for XRP holders who would prefer not to wrap their assets. XLM is already an F asset, and XDC is a Y asset on the Flare network and Flare Finance, respectively. So XDC is already going to be tied to Flare. Now, when Flare launches, fully launches, right now it's in observation mode for a few more weeks. Once it finally fully goes into effect and fully launches and is live, what do you think the value Flare is going to push into XDC? It's going to be a massive, Flare is. I think people still don't understand it on how big it is. And I think they don't understand how much value these cryptos that we always talk about are going to be based off of that. I think XDC is going to start moving right after Flare goes live. I think so is XLM and XRP and all of these other coins that are also tied to Flare. I don't want you to get discouraged now because we're so close. When I started this channel, I always said I want to show people the value in these cryptocurrencies. But I also want to keep you very optimistic in what you hold, because if you sell too soon, you will lose. You will not become rich. All it takes is a little bit more time. We see the whole system coming together. We see all of these cryptos being tied to each other. There's a reason for that. They're part of a new system. Some people will fudge you out and say, oh, you don't want to be involved with the World Economic Forum. They're evil. They're taking over the world. But here's the thing. This whole thing is going to happen whether me or you or anyone else likes it or not. They're going to push it on us. So why not get rich while you can? Why not get rich before it all happens? That's what I always tell people. It doesn't matter if you and I invest in as retail investors. There's people, financial institutions out there investing in all of this. And that's why I said get rich while you can. With that said, I'm going to wrap up today's video. I want to thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.